The silence in the kitchen was heavier than usual, thick with words that hadn't been said, or maybe had been said too many times already. Emily was in the bedroom, the door closed, but not quite latched. A deliberate kind of quiet that spoke volumes. My coffee, long since gone cold, sat untouched on the table, a testament to how long I'd been staring at nothing, just the faint reflection of the streetlights in the window. My chest felt tight, like someone had cinched a rope around it. This wasn't just another fight, this felt permanent. "You don't get it, Ryan," she'd said. Her voice barely a whisper earlier, but it had cut deeper than any shout. "It's not about what you think you're doing. It's about what you are doing." I'd tried to argue, to explain, to point out all the ways she was wrong, but the words just tangled in my throat. My throat still felt like it was full of ash. She saw something in me, in us, that I just wouldn't see. Or maybe I just didn't want to. For weeks, months even, it had been this slow, agonizing bleed. Every conversation about work, about my time, about my focus, eventually circled back to Veronica, my boss, Veronica Reynolds. She joined the company a little over a year ago, brought in as a senior director, and from day one, she'd taken me under her wing. That's what I called it. Mentorship. A professional growth opportunity. The kind of thing I'd been working towards for years, ever since I joined the firm right out of college. Back when Emily and I were just figuring out if we were even serious. We're both 34 now. Been married 9 years this coming spring. Always felt like we were on the same page, always. But now, Emily saw it differently. She used terms like emotional intimacy and prioritizing someone else. It felt unfair, like she was weaponizing my ambition, twisting something good into something ugly. I mean, Veronica and I talked about work, about strategy, about market trends, yes. But sometimes, when the day was done, or during a particularly intense project, we talk about life too. Goals, frustrations, sometimes even our families, briefly. Just building rapport, right? Networking. Being human. She was, after all, my direct superior, my mentor. How else was I supposed to learn in advance? The kitchen light hummed, casting long shadows. It was almost 2 a.m. I kept replaying her words, her face, the hurt in her eyes. "You're not here, Ryan," she'd accused. Not really. And it stung because part of me, the part I was desperate to silence, knew what she meant. Knew that lately, my brain, my energy, my very being, felt increasingly occupied by the challenges at work, by Veronica's expectations, by the desire to prove myself worthy of her time and attention. It was just professional, though. It had to be. It was. Right? This whole thing felt like I was standing on a fault line. One side was the career I'd busted my ass for, the recognition I craved, the respect of my colleagues and my boss. The other side was Emily, my home, the quiet life we'd built, the future we'd planned since we were kids. And I couldn't see how to bridge the gap, how to make her understand that I wasn't losing myself. I was finding myself professionally, that this wasn't an either-or situation. It just couldn't be. The thought of losing any of it, it was a cold knot in my stomach. Emily and I, we've known each other since junior year of high school. We grew up in the same small town, Brighton, just outside of Charlotte. She was dating my best friend David, actually, for a bit, which is funny to look back on now. I always kind of had a thing for her, even then, with her bright laugh and how she'd always hum under her breath when she was concentrating. We officially got together after graduation, both heading to state for college. Our first apartment together after college, that tiny place on Elm Street with the squeaky floors, felt like the biggest step we'd ever take. We were so young, so sure of everything. Married at 25, a year after I landed my first real job at Sterling Innovations, the firm I'm still at. We always talked about kids, about a house with a yard for a dog. Our life it was good, solid, predictable in the best way. My job at Sterling, it's in market analysis. I've always been good with numbers, with spotting trends, and I moved up steadily. Nothing spectacular, just consistent, reliable progress. That was until Veronica came along, about 14 months ago. She was brought in from a bigger firm in Atlanta, a real power player. Everyone knew that. Her reputation preceded her. Sharp, decisive, didn't suffer fools. She was appointed director of strategic partnerships. And suddenly, my team, which used to report to an older, more laid-back manager named Gerald, was under her direct purview. Gerald retired, peace out, good for him. Veronica! She swooped in. The first few weeks I was nervous, like everyone. She had this intense way of looking at you when you spoke, like she was dissecting every word. Then, about a month in, she called me into her office. Said she'd been impressed with my analysis on the recent quarterly report, specifically my insights on the regional market penetration. She saw potential, she said. Wanted to bring me on a new, high-visibility project, something that could really move the needle for the company. Project Chimera, they called it. It was thrilling. I mean, genuinely exciting. Emily was thrilled for me, too, at first. Said she knew I'd shine. That project, Chimera, it started small, a few meetings a week. But Veronica, she worked different hours. She was a night owl, so our strategy sessions would often stretch past 6 p.m., sometimes 7. We'd order takeout, sometimes just run down to that Thai place on Cedar Street. She'd always say, Ryan, we've got to get this right, and frankly, you're the only one I trust to really dig into these numbers with me. That kind of praise, it felt like rocket fuel. She pushed me, challenged me in ways no one ever had. I was learning so much. My brain felt alive. Emily started noticing the change, probably around the 3-month mark of Chimera. I was coming home later, my head still buzzing with projections and market segments. I'd be on my phone, checking emails, even during dinner. Another late one with Veronica? She'd ask, light at first, a slight teasing tone. Yep, big deadline tomorrow, I'd say, not even looking up. She'd try to tell me about her day, her work as a librarian at the public library, the new book club she was starting, but my mind would still be back in the office, replaying a conversation with Veronica, thinking about her feedback. I'd nod, give a mumbled response, but I knew I wasn't really there. One Friday night, we'd planned to watch a movie, order pizza like we usually did. But Veronica had sent a massive data dump, needing immediate analysis for a Monday morning board meeting. I spent hours at the kitchen table, laptop open, scrolling through spreadsheets. Emily came out, saw me, and just sighed. Ryan, it's Friday. Can't it wait till Monday? I remember getting defensive, saying, This is important, Em. This is my career. Veronica expects this. She's counting on me. She just looked at me, her usual bright eyes a little dull, and went back into the living room without another word. That was the first time I felt that pang, that little voice telling me maybe I was pushing it. But I quickly rationalized it away. This was a critical phase. Sacrifices had to be made. Success demanded it. That was the mantra I lived by. That's what I told myself. It was just work, right? The late nights became less of an exception and more of a routine. Project Chimera was a beast, consuming all my waking hours and a good chunk of my sleeping ones too, if I'm honest. Emily and I started eating dinner separately more often than not. She'd usually eat around 6:30 and I'd roll in around 8, sometimes 9. I tried to make it up to her on weekends, but even then, my phone was never far. Veronica would text me, sometimes about work, sometimes just a quick thought about a new article she'd read or a podcast she'd listened to, suggesting I check it out. I felt this intense pressure to always be on. Incident 1. The birthday dinner. Emily's birthday was in late November. We'd planned a quiet dinner at that little Italian place downtown, Bellissimo, where we'd had our first official date. It was a Saturday, so I was determined to make it special. I'd even managed to get through the workday without checking my phone every 5 minutes. We were halfway through our pasta, laughing about some old memory, when my phone vibrated. It was Veronica. A quick text. Urgent. Need your eyes on the Q4 projections. Some discrepancies found. Can you check now? My stomach dropped. I tried to ignore it. Emily noticed. Everything okay? She asked, her smile faltering. I hesitated, then lied. Yeah, just a spam text. But then my phone vibrated again. A call this time, from Veronica. I looked at Emily, a quick glance at the caller ID, then back at her. I really gotta take this, Em. It might be important. Her face, it just fell. All the light went out of it. She didn't say anything, just pushed her plate away a little. I walked outside, talking for 15 minutes about some minor adjustment that could have easily waited until Monday. When I came back, Emily was quiet. Too quiet. I just don't understand, Ryan, she said, her voice barely audible. Tonight was supposed to be ours. I tried to apologize, to explain the urgency, but it felt hollow even to me. That night, she slept on the couch. That was a first. I convinced myself she was overreacting. Veronica relied on me. This was a critical project. My career was on the line. I wanted to believe it was just professional, that Emily was just feeling neglected, which, okay, maybe she was a little, but it wasn't because of anything more, just work. My best friend David, he'd started noticing too. We'd meet up for beers at O'Malley's on Tuesdays sometimes, a tradition since college. He saw how much I was checking my phone. You ever put that thing down, man? He'd asked one night. Or is Veronica surgically attached to your hip? I laughed it off, but it felt a little too close to the bone. Just a demanding boss, Dave. You know how it is. He just shook his head. Yeah, I know how it is to have a demanding boss. But I also know how it is to have a wife who matters more than a spreadsheet. That stung, but I brushed it off. David didn't understand the pressure, the opportunity. He worked in accounting, a completely different world. Incident 2, the business trip. Then came the business trip, a conference in San Francisco, a big industry event. Veronica and I were presenting on Project Chimera. It was a huge deal, a chance to really show off our work. We were there for 4 days. Emily was visibly upset when I told her. 4 days, Ryan? You're going to be gone for 4 days with her? Her tone was accusatory. It's a professional conference, Em, I said, my voice tight. We're presenting. It's not a vacation. She didn't buy it. You haven't been on a business trip this long since before we were married, and never just the two of you. I reminded her our colleague, Ben, was also coming, but she just rolled her eyes. Ben was mostly there for the admin side. The actual presentation was all Veronica and me. During the trip, we worked almost constantly. Long days at the conference. Networking events in the evenings. One night, after a particularly grueling day of presentations, Veronica and I ended up at the hotel bar, just winding down. Ben had gone up to his room hours ago. We talked for hours, not just about work, but about our lives, our ambitions. She told me about her divorce, about how lonely it could be at the top. I found myself sharing more than I ever intended. My frustrations with Emily's lack of understanding, my worries about balancing ambition with home life. It felt liberating in a strange way to have someone understand, someone who got it. She really listened. And she offered advice, practical, sharp, insightful advice. Advice Emily, bless her heart, couldn't give because she wasn't in my world. I remember thinking, this is true mentorship. When I finally got back to my room, it was past midnight. I sent Emily a quick text. Good night. Long day. Her reply came instantly. You having fun? Just that. No, good night. No, hope it went well. Just that single loaded question. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Incident 3. The phone call. Things at home grew colder. Emily was withdrawing. We'd barely speak beyond surface-level things. The physical distance between us grew too. We were roommates almost. One evening around 10 p.m., I was in the living room, supposedly watching TV. But really, I was texting Veronica about some follow-up from the San Francisco trip. Emily walked in, saw me with my phone, and just stopped dead in her tracks. "Are you texting her right now?" she asked, her voice low. Dangerous. I bristled. "Yeah, Em. We're still working through the San Francisco debrief. What's the big deal?" She walked over, stood right in front of me. "The big deal, Ryan," she said, her voice shaking now, "is that you are more present with her, more engaged with her than you are with me. You laugh at her jokes, you stay up late talking to her, you confide in her. You don't even look at me like that anymore. She calls it mentorship, but what do you call it? What am I supposed to call it?" I tried to interrupt. "It's work, Em." "It's just work." But she wasn't having it. "Is it? Is it just work when you're texting her good morning before you even get out of bed? Is it just work when you're talking about your feelings and your life's ambitions with her, but you can't even tell me about your day without checking your email?" I felt cornered. "That's unfair," I shot back, louder than I intended. "I care about you, Emily. You know that. You're my wife." Her eyes welled up. "Do I, Ryan?" "Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like I'm an afterthought. It feels like I'm competing with your boss for your attention, for your time, for your mind, and I'm losing." She turned, walked into the bedroom, and slammed the door. Not the quiet, unlatched door from before. This was a full, resonant slam. The house echoed with it. I sat there, stunned, my phone still in my hand. Her words hit me, hard. I felt a flicker of doubt, a real cold dread. Was she right? Was I really doing all that? Was it more than just work? I couldn't process it. My mind just went blank. I just wanted to go to bed, pull the covers over my head, and pretend none of this was happening. I put my phone down, face up. A new text from Veronica popped up. "Still up? Just thinking about that market pivot idea we discussed." I stared at it, a knot of guilt and confusion tightening in my gut. I didn't respond. For the first time, I didn't respond. It felt significant, like I was finally choosing. But what exactly was I choosing? And what had I already lost? The day Emily slammed the door, it hung in the air, a physical weight. I didn't respond to Veronica that night, and I didn't respond the next morning either. I told myself I was giving Emily space, giving us space, but it felt more like I was just pausing, hesitating. The house felt like a tomb. Emily was still asleep when I left for work, which was unusual for a Saturday. I usually took a few hours to catch up on emails then, but I had nowhere to be, nothing to do. So I drove to my sister's place, Kayla, in Hendersonville. Needed to clear my head, talk to someone who wasn't Emily or David. Kayla, she's older, a no-nonsense kind of person. She listened to me ramble for an hour over lukewarm coffee, about work, about Emily's unreasonable expectations, about Veronica's demanding but rewarding mentorship. She just kept looking at me, her expression unreadable. When I finally wound down, she said, "Ryan, do you love your wife?" Just like that. Direct. I felt a surge of defensiveness. "Of course. I love her, Kayla." "What kind of question is that?" She just nodded slowly. "Then why does it sound like you're having an affair with your boss, just without the sex?" That hit me like a physical blow. An affair? Number. Absolutely not. It was work. Professional. I pushed back, angrily even. "It's not like that, Kayla." "There's nothing physical. It's purely professional, I swear." She held up a hand. "You just spent an hour talking about how this woman gets you, how she understands your ambitions, how you confide in her, how she texts you constantly, even late at night. And you're always making excuses for why you have to prioritize her over your wife. You're giving her all your emotional energy, Ryan, all of it. What's left for Emily? Her words echoed Emily's, David's. It was a chorus now, and I was the one out of tune. I went home later that afternoon, feeling numb. Emily was still quiet, doing laundry, moving around the house with a distant air. I watched her, really watched her, for the first time in what felt like months. She looked tired. There were faint circles under her eyes. My stomach twisted. I remembered her asking me, "What's left for me?" And the question resonated in the empty spaces in my head. That night, Sunday, Emily went to bed early, saying she had a headache. I stayed up, restless. I picked up my phone, scrolled aimlessly. I went to delete Veronica's text not because I was trying to hide something, I told myself, but because I wanted to clean up my phone, to reduce the clutter, just get rid of the work messages, clear my head. As I went through our message thread, my thumb hovering over the delete conversation option, I paused. There were so many late-night exchanges. Then, scrolling back, much further than I'd ever bothered before, I saw it. A message from Veronica sent months ago, right after that San Francisco trip. It wasn't a work message. It was a picture, a selfie, of her, in a silky dark blue robe, hair down, a small, knowing smile on her face. The caption, "Missing our late-night talks." SF was illuminating. My breath hitched. The air left my lungs in a whoosh. My hands started to shake. I stared at the photo, the words, my brain screaming, "No, no, no!" This couldn't be. This wasn't professional. My eyes darted around the room as if someone else would appear and tell me it was a joke, a mistake. The only sound was the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, a dull, relentless thrum. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum. I felt nauseous, cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. I clicked on the date of the message. It was from the night of the hotel bar, the night I'd confided in her, the night Emily had texted me, "You having fun?" I remembered not replying. I remembered going to bed feeling satisfied, understood. And Veronica, back in her room, had sent this. My world tilted. The professional mentorship, the demanding boss, the learning opportunities, like, it all crashed down, revealed as a flimsy excuse, a self-serving lie I'd been telling myself. I heard the bedroom door creak open. Emily. She stood there, wrapped in her old blue bathrobe, probably on her way to the bathroom. Her eyes, still heavy with sleep, landed on me, then on my phone, still displaying Veronica's picture. Her expression changed, slowly, from sleepy confusion to dawning horror, then to a stark, raw hurt that punched me harder than any physical blow. She didn't need to ask. She saw it. She saw all of it in that one instant. The silence returned, heavy, suffocating. The air felt thick, difficult to breathe. I tried to say something, anything. It's not... My voice was a croak. My tongue felt too big for my mouth. She just stared at me. Her eyes locked on my face, then back at the phone, then back at me. Her lips trembled. "How long, Ryan?" she finally whispered. The words barely audible, but they sliced through the silence. "How long has that been going on?" "Nothing. Nothing's been going on," I stammered, scrambling, my mind racing, trying to find an explanation, a way out. It's just a stupid picture. I don't know why she sent it. It means nothing." Emily shook her head, a slow, desolate movement. A single tear tracked down her cheek. "You didn't know why she sent it?" she repeated, a bitter, disbelieving laugh escaping her lips. "Ryan, you're so deep in it. You can't even see up anymore." She looked around the living room as if seeing it for the first time, then back at me, her gaze filled with an unbearable pain. "You have to go," she said, her voice firmer now, though still shaking. You have to get out. My heart seized. Go! Emily, no, where would I go? This is my home. She just pointed towards the door. Her hand was trembling. I can't look at you right now. Just go. I didn't know what to do. My mind was a chaotic mess. Denial, anger, shame, all warring inside me, but the look on her face, the absolute finality in her voice told me I had no choice. I slowly stood up, my legs feeling like jelly. I grabbed my car keys, my wallet. I didn't even pack a bag. I just walked out, the front door closing softly behind me, leaving Emily alone in our living room with Veronica's picture still glowing faintly on my abandoned phone screen. I drove straight to David's place, the one he shares with his wife, Chloe, not even thinking about it. Just instinct. It was almost 1 a.m. I rang the bell a few times, felt like a complete idiot standing there. Chloe opened the door, rubbing her eyes, looking confused, then saw my face. Her expression softened, then went to worry. Ryan, what on earth? David appeared behind her, pulling on a t-shirt. I just looked at him, couldn't speak. The words were stuck. He took one look at me and ushered me in. I ended up crashing on their couch. Barely slept. The next morning, I told them everything. Stumbling through the story, the picture, Emily's face. David was furious, which I expected. I told you, man! I told you she was taking too much. Chloe was quieter, just shook her head, looking sad. Oh, Ryan. You really messed up. No sugarcoating, just plain truth. They let me stay for a couple of nights, but it was clear it wasn't a long-term solution. My entire life was packed into my car, basically. The practical stuff hit me like a ton of bricks immediately. My address was my home with Emily, my mail, our joint bank account. I had no idea where I was going to live. I had to call Emily from David's phone. She wouldn't answer mine. Her voice was cold, distant. I've already changed the locks, Ryan. Don't even try to come back. She said she'd put a few of my essential things in boxes on the porch for David to pick up later. It was surreal. My home, gone. Just like that, work became an absolute minefield. I walked in Monday morning, feeling like everyone knew, like my shame was written on my forehead. I barely made eye contact with anyone. When Veronica called me into her office, it felt like an interrogation. She was all concern, too much concern. Ryan, is everything okay? You didn't reply to my messages this weekend, and you look rough. I just stared at her, her concern making my stomach churn. I felt a surge of rage. Don't, Veronica, I said, my voice low and shaky. Don't pretend you don't know. Her face went completely blank for a split second. Then she composed herself. I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. We're professionals here. That was the moment I realized the full extent of my delusion. She wasn't just my mentor, she was calculating, manipulative. And I had been a willing participant, blind as a bat. I walked out of her office, went straight to HR, and requested a transfer to a different team, under a different director. It was humiliating, explaining it without explaining it. Just saying irreconcilable professional differences with Veronica. They raised an eyebrow, but given my track record, they initiated the transfer. It felt like a demotion, moving to a less prestigious project. But at least I wouldn't have to see her every day. The company politics around it were awful. I could feel the whispers. Emily and I started talking, eventually, mostly through texts. Practical things. Who was getting the car serviced? Splitting bills. Our finances were a mess. We had always handled everything together. Now it was like untangling a ball of yarn that had been wound together for almost a decade. She kept saying we needed to get lawyers involved, talk about separation agreements. The word divorce hung in the air, unsaid but omnipresent. My emotions were all over the place. One minute I was furious at Veronica for crossing a line, for making me look like an idiot. The next, I was filled with self-loathing, hating myself for how I'd treated Emily, for my blindness, for my monumental screw-up. Then came the crushing sadness, the realization of what I'd lost. Sometimes I'd feel a fleeting sense of relief, a strange freedom from the constant pressure, the late nights. But mostly it was just a gnawing fear. I tried to apologize to Emily, really apologize, not just, "I'm sorry you feel that way." I sent long emails, pouring my heart out. She'd read them, sometimes reply with a single sentence, "I need more time, Ryan," or, "I don't know if I can ever trust you again." Each reply felt like a punch to the gut. I tried to see her, but she refused. "I can't." "Not yet. I need to figure things out." My life was chaos. I was living out of a suitcase in a depressing extended stay hotel near the office, eating microwaved meals, and scrolling through old photos of Emily and me, wondering how it all went so wrong, so fast. It was an absolute mess. And I knew deep down I only had myself to blame. It's been almost 4 months since Emily told me to leave. I'm still in that extended stay place, though I'm looking at renting a small apartment in a different neighborhood, just to have a semblance of a home. Work is quieter now. I'm on a new team with a new manager, Leo, who's perfectly competent, but keeps office hours, which is a relief. I haven't seen Veronica in weeks. Not really. Just glimpses in the hallway, and we both quickly look away. The shame still burns, but it's not the all-consuming fire it was. It's more of a dull ache now. Emily and I are still legally married, but we're moving towards separation. We're talking to a mediator next month. It's still incredibly painful. Every conversation feels like walking on eggshells. I miss her. I miss our life, our routine, even the quiet moments of just being in the same room. I ruined it completely. I still send her messages, sometimes just checking in, sometimes trying to explain, again, how sorry I am. She's still guarded, still hurt. She says she might be open to individual counseling, but not couples counseling, not yet, if ever. I've started individual therapy myself, trying to figure out how I became so blind, so self-absorbed. What did I learn? That success isn't everything. That ambition, unchecked, can be a destructive force. That I took Emily, her love, her presence for granted in a way I can never fully undo. I learned that emotional infidelity is real, and it's just as devastating as physical, maybe more so in some ways, because it slowly erodes the foundation of trust, piece by invisible piece. It's not just about what you do, but where you put your energy, your thoughts, your heart. I thought I was chasing professional growth, but I was really just chasing validation, and I allowed someone else to exploit that. This whole experience has shattered my old image of myself. I used to think I was a good husband, a loyal partner. Now, I see all my flaws, my self-deception. It's going to affect every relationship I have going forward, obviously. I'm so much more aware now of how easily you can drift, how quickly priorities can shift without you even realizing it until it's too late. I hope, truly hope, that one day Emily can forgive me, even if she can't come back to me. I don't know what my future looks like, honestly. It's a blank page, and that's terrifying. Will I ever trust myself again? Will anyone? Thanks for letting me get all this out. It's been a lot. I guess I'm sharing this because I needed to, and maybe someone out there needs to hear it too. Are there ever clear warning signs we just ignore? Or are some of us just wired to miss them until the entire structure collapses? What if I never fully learn to trust my own judgment again? It's a heavy weight to carry.